zone, man. Yeah.
Now tell me who could stop me. I'm in the zone. Competition's none in a league of my own.
Hello everybody on WLC.pl on our podcast. Here we are today with Žan Tabak, currently the head coach of Trefl Sopot, a team committed to the Polish National League. Žan Tabak is a very well-known professional on the basketball scene in both the ends of the Atlantic Ocean. I mean, he has been an NBA player and an NBA champion in 1995. Then he has been three-time European champion as a player with Jugoplastika split from 1989 and 1991. Four-time Yugoslavian also champion 1 year before 1980 and 1991. And then as a coach you won a Polish National League before the COVID, I mean when the season was interrupted with Girona. You won also 2 times the Polish Super Cup in 2012 here in Sopot and 2021 with Girona. And then of course the Polish Cup also 2 times in 2021 with Girona and currently recently 2023 with Trefl Sopot. Just to start, coach, and not to lose of your patience, a question that plenty of people ask themselves: how many languages do you speak?
I speak my first language is Croatian. I speak English that I learned when I went to the States. I didn't speak English before I went to the States. I speak it. I spoke really good Italian. Actually, it was better than my English before I started to live in Spain. And then that Italian language, like a Latin language, same like a Spanish, was a base to learn my Spanish. Since I'm living basically for 20 years already in Spain, I forgot my Italian until I start to speak with somebody for the 2-3 days in a row, and then I picked it up again. I understand everything. And the Polish, I'm in the process of learning. I do understand everything on Polish because it's my 4th year here, because it's very similar in Croatia, but because I'm old and lazy, I still didn't pick it up that one. Italian and the Spanish and English, I picked it up basically in 3-4 months.
Okay, good to know. So in italiano non parleremo, we're going to speak just in English, but maybe later on. Also because my Croatian is bad, so unfortunately I'm ashamed of it, but you know, it's a big problem. Listen, coach, today I wish to focus with yourself with respect to topics that you rarely touched while having interviews, not only in Poland, but generally speaking. Everybody asks you about the NBA, about Tony Kukoc, about Dino Radja. Today I wish just to touch other points with respect in particular to your European, the contribution you gave to the European basketball. And do you remember this guy, Paul Shirley?
Of course,
You play with
Paul. I play with Paul. Paul is a good friend. I talked to him 6 months ago. He was asking to me about his new project. And Paul was a really interesting guy to be around, a good man, and really good friend.
Listen, he wrote this book, Can I Keep My Jersey? It's kind of a book that he, when he tells about his journey all across the world, not only Europe, and he wrote something regarding yourself. I just quote.
I never saw that book, so
I will show you later.
I'm hoping something good.
Listen, he speaks about a meal that you had together, and then he writes the following. I asked him, Žan, why he had come back to Europe after so many years in the NBA. He said that first, it was important for him to enjoy playing the game the right way. And then he continues, in Europe, you say, the people are more interested in things you cannot touch, the friendships, the love, the relationships. While in America, this is not so common. That's what he writes, that you stated. Is that still the difference, in your opinion, between European basketball and American basketball, and generally speaking, the cultures of the two continents?
Okay, this is my sentence. I said it when I was 31, 32 years old. Okay. I'm 20 years older, and the world also 20 years is older and changed. About the game, I think so. The game still in the Europe is played differently because of European teaching of the basketball, but also because of the lack of athletic part that American basketball is having. These are two things. One is good because we are teaching basically different kind of basketball. For me personally, better kind of basketball. And the other one is the fact that we don't have that athletic capacity like American college players, high school players are having. And for that, we are forced to teach the different way. And for that, our basketball is different. Our basketball tactically is much more difficult to play and to coach. That's one. The second thing, you need to understand, I was 30 years old. I met Paul Shilly in the Spain, but I basically left Croatia when I was 22. And I left Croatia and Europe when I was basically 22, 23, having that feeling in my mind that value what we have in Europe are different than they are in the States. And I believe at that time they were a little bit different. Right now, 20 years after that, with globalization, with MTV, with the Nike, with the CNN, with the internet, with all these things that I think so pretty much we are coming to the same.
Good. So it's nice also to understand the process, of course. Of
yes, because it's one thing, something that is said 20 years ago, and I really believed in that. That American society is one way, European is the other way. But even today, but this is me talking about society when I left the United States. If I need to go someplace to work, to be appreciated for as much time I spend in my work, for as much talented I am in my work, any work, I will choose the States. I prefer working society in the States, but the life I definitely prefer more in Europe.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. This is very, very interesting. Let's switch to Jugoplastika because we have plenty of topics to discuss. Just for those who are not familiar with what Jugoplastika meant for European basketball, you were basically a young team. You were playing somehow a new basketball with plenty of defense. So a new proposal. You are very young. You were as a team, and you, according to what is reported, unexpectedly managed to win the first.
I will explain that to your viewers in a much easier way. Okay.
Good.
So we are living this Jugoplastika. It was functioning at the time. Where was Real Madrid? Where was Barcelona? Where was Maccabi? Where was Milano? Where was at the time Limoges? Pesaro. There were all these great teams, but there was all these great teams backed up by also good financial situation. And then you have a 3-time European champions team who is not backed up by the financial situation, who is not based on American players, but who is based on the home players. And that's why, if I remember correctly, when you get in the old gym in the Split, you have the only one thing. There are no titles, there are no this, at least was not back in time. I don't know what they put it now. Okay? It was a best club or best team for the 20th century by FIBA. So this is telling you everything. FIBA is a really wide organization and they could put any money. And they put Jugoplastika as the best team of the 20th century. So it's not only because of results, because a lot of times, I remember one good coach, he was asked by the media guy, what do you think about this coach? He's the best right now. I said, no, he just won most of the title. He's not the best one. Okay, so basically, depend for the coaches what kind of the conditions you are having to get maximum from it. So it's not only that we were champions, because Real Madrid was also 10-time European champions, but we were champions 3 times in a row without basically major foreign players.
And this is exactly, an interesting topic. And just, focusing on the first title you won. So yes. When you started the journey in 1989, was there any specific moment of that season when you understood that you could make it? You could win the European title? Anything specific?
No. I remember one to tell you how exaggerated that was. And I say again, since we are going public, It was a long time ago. If I make any mistakes, it's not made on the purpose, trying to invent something. This is just the way I remember. I was really young. We are leading against Barcelona, I think so, 12, 13, 14. Barcelona is losing their conception. They don't know what they're doing anymore. We are killing them. Okay? So we are on the bench with the Boža Marković. Boža Marković is during one time out, and I remember the Aco Nikolić working from behind, and you know, basically calming us down, not to get afraid or scared or overexcited because we are leading against Barcelona. So this is the are we expected? Nobody's not expected. We were a young team. We knew that we have a talent. We were working. We were committed 100% to that work. I remember, if I remember correctly, that we made it to that Final Four in the last train. Okay, and then we went, you know, without any pressure, game by game. Let's see what's going to be.
So kind of, you know, an underdog according to the press, but
definitely, even for us, you know, it's an underdog because none of these players was not proven. None of the no coach was proven. You know, everything was in the air. Everybody see, you see the potential, but it's still not there.
You mentioned before the fact that you were the only one team composed by only local players.
Yes.
And can we state that 1989 EuroLeague title was the triumph of, I would say, European local basketball over teams that used to rely on American players to build their
No, because before us, Cibola did it. And
The
before us, Bosnia did it. You can say that's all these 10 years, or I don't know how many was, that's a product and a triumph of ex-Yugoslavia basketball.
And so why other teams, for instance, in Italy, they kept, you know, in your opinion, of course, I mean, hiring players from the US and relying on them, and they did not take example from you, from the way you developed your talents?
Let me put you this way. Let's say I want to sing. As much as I want to sing, if I have no voice, I cannot sing. So as much as I want to copy, I don't know, any of the great singers, I can't sing. So there are things that you have or you don't have in the case. In my particular case, why now we are going to a different topic, and I also talk about that. This is only my opinion. Why there are so many not basketball players, but athletes from that period. Number one, all that zone, we are genetically, physically, we have a great predisposition for sport. Number two, and people don't like to hear that, but one time in generation we have a war. So it's horrible. That's why it's not a good place to be there, to live. But we are always in some kind of the fighting, always in some kind of the things, you know, and that kind of the things, when you, that moment, psychologically, when you, if you can translate that to the sport, you also get really competitive people. Then you have ex-socialist country who basically sees the sport like the way showing to the West, we also can do it. So basically, conditions that we have split, I didn't find until I came to NBA. Like I played for Milano and I played for Livorno. They didn't have conditions like we have in the split for the development. We are not talking about salaries or nice car. I'm talking gym disposition 24 hours, coaching disposition 24 hours. We were dealing with the nutritionists and sports psychologists in the split when the rest of Europe, they didn't know what is it. So that's what I'm saying. So all these things put together, you have basically great base for any kind of the sport, any kind of athlete. So you say, move that to the Italy, really difficult. Move that to the Spain or any other country, really difficult. And the last thing is, young people, we love the sport in that time, but we also see the sport like a way for the better life. So when you put all that together, that's really difficult to copy to some other country. That's why I'm telling you, I would like to sing, but no voice.
Good. I mean, let's get back to Jugoplastika because the topic would be really huge and we have a limited amount of time. Another topic, another question that somehow is curious is the last final you won, the 1991 final. Of course, I mean the world was changing and it was somehow the last success from a club perspective for a former Yugoslavia team. But from your perspective, how it was from your team perspective to win against your former coach, against Bojan Markovic?
I had the other day here an interview also with one of your colleagues, and I said one thing. This is my reflection when I retired from basketball. When you are in the basketball team, who is playing like this 2-3 competition national team, you are not high level player as far as the game, but a high level player as far as being busy. You are moving with a bullet train, speed train, and all world around you is staying aside, and you are watching them. And you don't have a time to reflect on what's going on, because everything is moving so quickly. So at that time, honestly, I was not looking that way. But I think so. The first and the last year, Jugoplastika was an underdog. The second year, Jugoplastika does the strongest team. That's the one that definitely, was the time that he was best and when we were most powerful.
In particular, with respect to the middle season, it's the 1990 season. Of course, I was a kid and I used to live in Milan, but I remember when you came play in Milan, and it was an extraordinary game also with respect to the fans and the atmosphere that was very atypical for Milan, honestly speaking. My question to you is, how was it for you as a player of Jugoplastika to come and play to Milan and also to Pesaro? They had this very small arena in the very city center, who was a fortress in Italy. Nobody almost won there at the time against Pesaro on the road.
So you are talking to me as a player of Milan?
Yes. No, as a player of Jugoplastika playing against Milano and Pesaro during your Jugoplastika campaign.
With all due respect, ambience or pressure of this gym cannot be compared with the gyms of the ex-Yugoslavia. If you go play to Zadar or Partizan or the Red Star, there was a lot of hot courts at that time, but nothing comparing to what we didn't find in ex-Yugoslavia court. There are some courts in ex-Yugoslavia, when you go every time was on the limit of rivalry, two cities or two republics or two clubs. There was always something. There are 3 or 4 or 5 courts. They were crazy. So it was not that thing. I mean, it was a more playing against Milan. On the other side, I don't know, there was a Dino Menekin, there was Mike D'Antoni, there are some figures what you are growing up watching on the TV, and now you need to play with them, against them. So this is more about that the people around didn't really impress me, not because they were not good fans, but before the stuff we were finding before in ex-Yugoslavia, it's a much higher level.
In this respect, there is a good documentary that I recommend to everybody. It's in Croatian, but it's very interesting. Odisea Ujutom. I don't know whether I pronounce it correctly. And in this, you also take part with an interview with, on this Odisea Ujutom, and you stress that there was no higher rivalry for Jugoplastika stronger than Partizan. And may I ask if there were any other?
No, but I would not say rivalry. I would say they were asking there, like, what about playing Barcelona? What about playing Milano, Limoges, Maccabi? But all these teams, they were good. But if you put the roster of Partizan that you need to meet every year in the Yugoslavian Championships, roster is stronger than your other team. I don't know, that time they had Saša Đorđević, Obradović, Danilović, Ivo Nakić, Divac, Paspalj, Grbović, so there is no other roster on any other European team. So basically with those guys, you need to play finals, or semi-finals, whatever. And then on the other side, if you look when Yugoslavia broke apart, how many NBA players came from that league, you will see that Italian league or Spanish league or any other league, they were not best at that time. That league was best as far as the local league, only because of was it socialism, and because there was no communication with internet, with the pay TV, people were not able to see that. But that league was basically the strong one. Now the other rivalries still is huge rivalry between Split and Zadar, huge rivalry between Split and Cibona. I think so. Those are biggest rivalries, and then some really small courts like Čačak. When you go Čačak, there was no particular rivalry, but this court as a court is really hot. Or when you go to play Budućnost, it was the same thing. And then at that time, we were such a good team that everybody wants to win against it.
Of course, yes. Who was the teammate you were more tied to when playing for Jugoplastika?
I was mostly tied to Tony. Tony, we are still in the touch with the Teo Čizmić. We were same age. We were going to the same school. We went to the military together. I was really tied to Luka Pavićević, to Zoran Savić, who was also after that my agent. So a lot of guys.
I will definitely, with respect to Zoran Savić, let me block a bit here because everybody asks you about, Raja, Kukoc, I've got 5 names on which I would like you to give me just one adjective, very short. Goran Sobin, yesterday we played against his son. Aramis Naglic, Zoran Savić already said something, and Duško Ivanović.
Well, first of all, you need to understand I'm younger than all these guys. So, Goran Sobin, basically he was already older player, established player when I came to the first team. And this is the guy that everybody liked, guy that had a really good spirit and a good nature. And this is the guy with no big athletic capacity that played really, really important role in some big games for Jugoplastika. The second one is
Aramis Naglic.
Aramis Naglic is the one, when we are talking about the guys that I was closest with, is Aramis. Aramis is one of the funniest guys that you ever going to meet. Okay. Also the important role player in every Jugoplastika SSX. And also I have a special feeling for those guys who went in the last year of Jugoplastika because it's the war year, it's the year when everything is a tumble of big problems. And there's some really, really humanly bad experience that we live together. And hard worker, really, really hard worker. Again, one more player that based on the hard work made his career. The next one is Zoran Savić. Zoran Savić, friend of mine, used to be my agent. The player who also played for the big games, at that time, one of the toughest, physically toughest player who played interior game, really smart, and also made most of his stuff by working hard.
Duško Ivanović.
Duško Ivanović was oldest guy in the team, somebody who you always look up to. Not only as a oldest player, because you can say we have a lot of good players, but somebody he was, if I'm not mistaken, okay, he was 28 or 29 at that time, being oldest guy in the team. As far as role model guide or something that young players should up to, he was there. Also, one more, why I'm repeating hard worker, because people always think, no, it's just a talent that they do it. They say Duško is hard as a coach. I don't know if he's hard, not hard, okay, because I don't know, I never been there. But if he is hard, he's hard because he was like that, like a player. I'm not sure that he's not asking nobody else that 50% of his things what he did.
Sure. And with this respect, we are in a situation that the ABA League playoff we're going to start, and we are likely to see Zoran Savić as a GM of Partizan and Duško Ivanović as the head coach of Crvena Zvezda, very likely playing together. And who's going to win for you?
No idea. This is very difficult to say because here is not included only strength of the team, that the both team, they have a really good team, but it's going to be a lot of fans issue, political issue, the games on the legality, on the limit of legality. So every time there's a game, Partizan restart, it's a more than normal game, and it's really difficult to control the game. And I would not like to be in the skin of the referees that is supposed to call the game.
Like last year.
Yes. So it's not the last year. During the history, it's like so many times.
Listen, with respect, we just shared from Jugoplastika to the current period, and of course, you are a Croatian former center, a Croatian head coach, and in Croatia, things are going not so well. After basically the fall of Yugoslavia, Croatia had a progressive deterioration of the quality of basketball. Unfortunately, we see right now how the national team of Croatia is performing. You know Sergio Tafciar, maybe? He's a sports commentator in Italy. He used to tell us exactly your matches.
Yes, sorry about that.
No,
I didn't know. Maybe I met him, but I don't remember. But I don't know the name.
No worries. I mean, he's a person that, of course, I mean, in Italy is very famous, and he is basically the voice of Yugoslavian basketball in Italy. And when he described the situation in this book that he wrote and edited a couple of months ago, he exactly underlines that the problem of the dissolution of Yugoslavia, and he tells an incomplete social transition from former Yugoslavia to national states from a social perspective, is the problem that in Croatia impacted the most with respect to the quality of basketball. Is that something that you agree with this statement?
I agree with the statement, but basically this is a guy who likes basketball. He talks about basketball, but he can talk about any sport, because this applies for any sport. So, like most of the countries in Europe, in Croatia, culture, soccer is not sport, it's religion. Okay, and all the others, they are sports. And all the other sports, they are going down, they are deteriorating in our Croatia. Why? Because there is no more government financing of the sport, like a tool to show to the West that we also can do it, like was in Yugoslavia. There are no more conditions to do the sport like they used to do it. Before, we used to be 20 millions, now we are 4 millions. So you have also the pool, which you're getting your talent from, is not anymore that big. I don't see commitment of the Republic of Croatia, of our government, of our people, toward the sport like used to be. Okay, and these are not my words. These are words of one of the businessmen, top businessmen in Croatia. So they're asking, you are inverting a lot of money in the basketball, okay? And that's a great thing, because Croatia, they like the sport. He said, no, Croatia, they don't like the sport. They like the winners.
So, if you don't
Spanish people, they like sport. On the level of the family, on the level of the kids, doesn't matter what level, they see sport like important part of the life. I don't see that in Croatia.
But used to be Yugoslavia.
Used to be because sport used to be part of the life. And you know, things in Croatia change for the many things on better since we are independent, but some things change worse. And one of the things that change worst is the sport. And I'm not talking about basketball, I'm talking water polo, I'm talking handball, I'm talking basketball. And then there is one more thing. Before, in the past, we were the country when we used to have all team sports. We were great, and just few individual athletes made it. And now suddenly it's opposite. So my interpretation is opposite, because to have a good basketball team, you're supposed to have good domestic league. To finance good domestic league, you need to finance at least 10 teams. It costs money. To have a champion in the, I don't know, throwing javelin or running 100 meters, you just need to finance one man. Or his team of the 5 men around him. You don't need a league. That's why we have one of the best ski teams in the Europe. That's why we have female athletics really good. That's why we have swimming. That's why we have a lot of martial arts sports, because they're individual sports. And I think so. You don't need a big organization. You don't need a system. You need an individual improvisation of effort of the certain people to do it.
It's interesting. Cost less and it's easier.
Cost less is easier, because everything what happens in Croatian sport in Yugoslavia, everything what was happening was the base of the system, of product of the work of the many people. They put together system that is on the end producing result. Whatever is happening right now in Croatian sport, a part of the football, is product of improvisation.
Can the situation change in your opinion?
No idea. I have no idea. You are talking to somebody who doesn't have a clear view about basketball or any other sport in Croatia. I'm just like a fan, because I'm not part of Croatian basketball. So I'm looking, like reading newspapers, talking to people, talking to my colleagues. I know more or less what's going on, but I'm not deeply in the problems of Croatian sport.
let's stay about, I mean, athletes. Let's get back to basketball. We had here at WLC.pl a quote from, at the time, was a former player of yours and not yet a player of yours. And when we asked him about the best coaches he had been working for, he mentioned you, and he mentioned that you are the coach that knows the best how to develop the games of the centers. And exactly, I mean, the way you put teams on the court is a way that allows the centers to develop themselves so they feel good when they play to your team. That's a current player of yours, you can imagine who is. And
no idea who is.
Okay. Yes. He was with Sporting Portugal in Jugoslavia. We had an interview with him, and he released us that quote when reminding the times in Giovanna. Then he joined again the Polish league with your team, and I understood, of course, why he selected your proposal. But that quote somehow made me think about the, I would say, current role of the center. We see more and more centers who are perimetral. Yesterday, for instance, we saw Malik Williams. So the role of the center is evolving, and I want to understand where do you stand within this evolution? How do you see the center?
I'm listening to a lot of ex-players who are right now commentators on TV, or they speak up in the media, or older people speaking about today's times. Everybody speaking about nostalgia, about things what was before, and how this was happening today is bad. I think so. World is moving ahead. I don't want to judge if it's bad or good. It is what it is, and we need to adapt. We can talk why role of the big guy is different. There are a couple of reasons for that. I remember when I went from Europe to States, we were playing here a 30-second shot clock, and over there was a 24-second shot clock. It took a huge amount of time to adjust. Everything is quicker. Okay, that everything is quicker also includes that the big guy, they need to be on the certain athletic level that to adapt to the game. That's the first thing. Second thing, it's a social thing. Okay, to play inside when everybody's beating you up constantly, when everybody's kicking you, punching you before you receive the ball. Then you receive the ball, and you are there is always man in between you and I mean it's hard work. Okay, basically we are living in society what I call no stress society. No, everything's supposed to go smoothly. People, they don't like any kind of discomfort. People like to live nicely. The kids who are starting to play the basketball, they have a completely different, so it's really difficult to make somebody to go inside and the fight. That's the second thing. Third thing, the pick and roll game or transition game, what they are playing everybody today. If you want to play that kind of game, it's really difficult to find a player who can play that kind of the game and the play on the low post at the same time. Okay. The last thing I think so, the new age of players and the new age of the coaches grew up already on the system, but they don't know how to play this kind of the game. Because when somebody's coming through the youth, and already through the youth, you don't have interior players, and then you come to the senior and you say, put ball inside. They don't know how to do that because they never did it before, and also coaches, they are not used to it. If you never in your life, if you didn't have that kind of a game, that, it's very difficult suddenly to invent something. But I say again, we need to go from beginning what I said. I don't think so it's a better or worse. I think so that it's the same thing like we need to adapt on the mobile phone, on the internet, on this modern era what it's bringing. If you keep, saying it's not good, you are staying behind. So you need to adapt. When I have the big guy, I try to use him. If I don't have a big guy, I try to adapt. I'm playing completely different here in Sopot that I used to play in Želona Gora. You need to adapt on the things that you have.
So basically, also Tavčar in his book describes Krešo Ćosić as the Copernican revolution of the center. Basically, he argues that he was the first center who started making points. Before it was not so popular that the center made points. It was just the guy staying there, fighting and pressing the ball. Do you see another center that somehow marked a new Copernican revolution when we speak about modern centers. Speaking, or we still have to have this champion?
I think so that, you know, in the States, they are giving the names by the players. So you have a Sigma move, you have Dream Shake, you have, so it's meaning that each one of these players did contribute something. But on every generation, there is a one player that gives something new to the game because completely out. Was a Chelsea at that time when LeBron James came. He's a guy who's a 2'5", I don't know, 105, 110 kilos, who is dribbling ball like a guard doing, so every generation is bringing something new. We cannot say there was only one player. So yes, at that time Chelsea was definitely something, or Kukoc came out. Somebody who's Chelsea side playing 1, 2, 3, 4. So every generation have one player like that makes basketball change because everybody else needs to change offensively, defensively to be able to stay on his level.
And let's get back to the centers. Of course, you know, we speak about Radic, the two Gordons you had here in Poland, Grozel. We do have, for instance, an MVP season here in Poland, and he went to Bologna. He was a different player. What is your secret? What do you do with the centers?
It's not secret. It's just it's not enough to sign the big guy who can play. You need to sign the rest of the players on a certain profile that they need to know how to play. They need to be comfortable because I don't believe that you can get a player who is 26, 27, 30 years old and you're going to start to change his game completely. You need to recognize what he had and use him for that. And then when you are recognizing by signing player, you need to recognize who is having quality to play with the big guy. And then also you need, I think so most important, all this what I say until now, it's a lesson. It's a psychology. Today coaching is not about basketball. Today coaching is about psychology. You need to make a players believe, make a team believe that is better than there is.
Listen, the topic is really huge, and of course, I mean, we have limited time, but thank you very much for the topics. Let's now commit to the last part of our topic. It means the present. So right now we are here in Trefl Sopot. It's your second stint with the team after it's the smallest one. Then you went to Spain to coach, and you basically now returned from Spain. So it's always a Spanish-Poland travel. I just want to understand. Right now, when we speak about the process, also the hashtag of Trefl Sopot is step by step. So could you just explain our viewers what is your process here in Trefl Sopot?
Trefl Sopot is a team that a long time ago used to be part of the Euroleague. Trefl Sopot is a team with a big history, and our owner's family are basketball lovers. They are doing financing of this team for no particular reason except for the love for the basketball. When I was here, team was in really difficult financial situation, but we stay on a really good relationship even after that. Right now, at this moment, Wierzbicki family, they decided that they want to bring the team where they were before. And they hired me for that reason. Not only for the 1 year instant solution, but trying to build something that's gonna last in the future. It's a really difficult task to do. Doesn't matter how much money you have, because of the level of attraction of Polish basketball. Okay, so here in the Poland, this is the first time that I coached the team in the Poland that is not playing Europe. When I was here first time in Sopot, was a Eurocup. When I was in Zielona Góra, was a VTB. And here I'm first time basically playing, coaching the team that doesn't have the European competition. The biggest attraction for the players, because this is pyramid. We are not talking about Spanish league, Italian league, Turkish league, that they are up top, that only league as a league is attracting best quality talent. We are here in the middle, where league as a league is not attracting to nobody. I mean, nobody. They are attracting whoever is under this league as a projection for the future, because all players are moving, everybody in the sport are moving on the base of ambition to make a better results, to move higher, to get best of themselves for result or for economic abilities. So basically here the biggest problem is to attract the talent. They're gonna make you be in the race with the teams that are already playing European competition in Poland, and they have access to that kind of talent. That's why I believe the process here are going to be much more difficult. Why I decided to stay here? Because the way they explained to me the plan, and when I came here, I also see that this is one of the best organized clubs in the Poland. Everything is functioning properly. I'm not talking about paying, not paying. I think on a daily basis, everybody is, know what they're supposed to do. Everybody are professional. The team is financially sound. And this is, I think, a good platform to build something. And also is a big challenge. So let's see, I think so we for the next year, we cannot go with the way of the certainty. We will need to take a certain risk. Okay, because going with the way of the certainty here will not work. Until now, this is me personally. I'm kind of the person who doesn't like to experiment. I'm kind of person in the game, in everything. I like to analyze, see what is working best, and go that way. And here, I don't think so that will work. So we will need to take a certain risk.
So the supporters should expect something different. Which kind of risk?
No. I mean, it's the same thing here. This year, we took risks. I mean, you cannot say like this, okay? I have money. I'm playing a certain European Cup, and I signed a player who last year played ACB. Because that kind of player doesn't want to come here. So you will need to do really deep analysis and scouting on the players who might be in the 2 or 3 years in the future something.
So how does it, because I mean you can tell it, but how does it work here, the organization that you put in place? So you are responsible for the scouting. Do you have anybody on your staff helping you for the scouting?
Everybody is helping here. Starting from the Tomek as a general manager, from me, from 2 assistants, we everybody doing scouting. We everybody, when it comes time to sign the players, we are already during the years, we are following certain players. But then when it comes time to do the scouting, everybody chip in and everybody start to work.
Okay, so you don't divide, I don't know, geographical area or type of players?
No, we are not Real Madrid, Maccabi, or we don't have a special scouting department who is dedicated. When I'm saying this is a really good organized team, this is a really good organized team for the Poland, for level that we are. I know how it's working on a higher level. Here we don't have that kind of capacity.
But listen, since this club is the best organized, one of the best organized clubs in Poland, do you believe that this club, this organization, the way you do things, will manage in the future to elevate the level of Polish basketball?
That's really difficult to say. The other day I also had an interview, so one of your colleagues was asking me, where is the level of the Polish basketball? So this is a really general question, okay? I can only say one thing. The level of the Polish basketball or any other league is not determined by the success of the national team, by the success of the teams playing in European competitions. So, if the Spanish league is having, again, I don't want to say something that is not true, but if I remember correctly, Spanish league is having 4 EuroLeague teams.
Yes.
Okay. 1 or 2 Eurocup teams.
Hold on, 2 Eurocup teams.
1 BCL or 2 BCLs, I don't know.
BCLs,
Then we have 3, 4 Eurocup. And here we are dealing that we have 3 spots for the Europe, and then you are counting how many games Polish teams won before in the Europe. This is telling you everything. So, do I consider, so you will say, I know, but you being here and the team being well organized, I don't consider myself better than any other Polish coach. If this thing is happening year after year in the Poland, it's not a question of the one person. This is a question of the system, on the state level. So here something needs to change, okay, on the state level, not on the level of this club.
So again, politics again gets But you know, at least from the foreign correspondent
When I
perspective.
say on the state level, I'm not going into politics of the state. I'm going in the basketball politics. Here, some decisions needs to be here, or even Croatia. Some decisions they need to be made differently on the people who are leading or who are making decisions for all of us. They're going to change from now to the 10 years. Nothing will change in that. Doesn't matter what they do. Nothing will change the next year. But if we make a decision right now, 10 years from right now, going to change.
A huge path, I would say, definitely. But
Nothing. This is not iPhone. It's meaning I click, appears.
yeah.
Sport is a process. Unfortunately, this is. I think so. Everything, 90% stuff, good that happens in the life requires process, requires work.
With respect to process and with respect to Polish league, at least from the perspective of a foreign correspondent as I am, covering European basketball.
But you know a lot about Polish league, and you might know as much as I know, or maybe even more. So. No. I'm just saying because you are one of the few guys that I see here all the time, and one of the few guys that are dealing with this kind of stuff. There are very few people asking me this kind of stuff. That's why I'm telling you that you definitely know a little bit more than average person.
Thank you very much for the kind words. I mean, in my opinion, people should read and should. But okay, it's so my overview. From my perspective, I repeat, as a foreign correspondent, when I started covering Polish basketball, you are still the coach that I utilize the term revolutionized Polish basketball, because when you started coaching here in Zielona Góra in particular, for the first time in the Polish league, we had a relevant amount of players selecting Poland as a league where to further develop their career, and Poland stopped looking as the tournament where all players, like Interwoods for instance, like Logan,
Get to retire.
Yes. And so what I want to, people to understand, and also, personally to understand, how did you manage to change this tendency? Because you did.
VTB.
So again, the international.
Listen, I would like to take a credit. Okay, so people, why? Okay, I can give 1 or 2% because they have a coach who will not screw up. This is what players do. But if I'm a player, okay, I need to promote myself. Because I'm on the lower level, because I was on the higher level, I had the injury, or because I was on the higher level and I had the best season. And I need some place to restart. Okay? So to do that, I need to be on the visible place. So I need the visibility. To have visibility, I need to play against some good teams, who everybody gonna see. What are people seeing most? Europe. How many VTB teams is having in Europe? It was Zenit, CSK, please help me. I think so was
Kazan?
Kazan was the third one. Kinky.
Kinky, yeah.
Then you have a Lokomotiv and the Unix. They are in the. So I won't play them. Why? Because when anybody is watching CSK, they're gonna see me. So this is the way players and agents. Okay, there is a coach who is having some experience in the top leagues. And I also came to Zielona Góra, not because of Zielona Góra, I came because of VTB. I know what kind of problems Zielona Góra is having, and everybody knows that. So here, everybody is paying a day. No problems. But we still have a problem attracting the players when Zielona Góra is delayed 2, 3, 4 months, and people are coming at that time. Why? VTB. What is my success as a coach? What I count as a success? The players like Ivica, they went away and they won't come back. Or the players who play in Zielona Góra had the careers, had step up in the career. Everybody signed a much better and bigger contract after they left Zielona Góra. But again, it's not because of Polish League or Zielona Góra, it's because of visibility of VTB.
Yes.
And my success as a coach is that some of the players, like you say, Brussels, they never before or after repeated similar season. This is what I take. But them choosing Zielona Góra doesn't have nothing to do with me. The people here choosing come to Sopot doesn't have nothing to do with me.
I was thinking because at that time also Arka Gdynia, for instance, had the Euro Cup, the second cup of the ULEP. of course, I mean, VTB definitely has the attraction.
They also had a really powerful team. They had some really interesting players right now.
But there is something, I mean, at least
No,
from our
but
perspective.
we can talk about success of the team and how many games we won in VTB. That's already different.
Okay.
Okay. This is you need to players to. You say we revolutionize. I also believe the way we play basketball here, we play completely different than any other team. But I was able to do that because I have that kind of a player that can execute it. You need to adapt that what you have. That kind of the game that is not typical game for the Poland, also starting with the good players, also help us to win this many games in the VTB.
Coach, the last question prior to conclude, it's I must say an uncomfortable question, but of course in my job is to also ask you questions. And also plenty of people with whom we had the opportunity to prepare this interview ask us the reason why you as a coach perform very well in Poland, but the experience you had in Burgos didn't well properly. What happened there?
I always count this way. You always need to watch when you lead the team what team does. I mean, if they change as a coach, a team does better, okay, I need to sit down, I need to see why. So I leave the Burgos changed 2 coaches after me, they go to 2nd division. Okay, I leave Maccabi after me, they change 3 coaches in 1 season. President of Burgos said publicly there was a mistake to changing me. President of Maccabi said publicly there was a change in me. Mistake. So this is not the he said, she said on some place with the friends. That was publicly said. To me, doesn't give no satisfaction. I'm out of the team, but at least I know that the stuff what I'm doing is correct.
And what does a coach feels when you get fired or when you receive the notification?
This is a joke, but one football coach said, until you get fired 3 times, you're not coach. And the other one said, there are only 2 coaches, who just got fired and who will be fired. Okay, so this is this with the coach is a joke. Because everything goes wrong with the team, they change the coach. And I think so in the football was done some kind of statistics. How many actually teams do better after they change the coach? 85% of the time, nothing doesn't change. But as always, it's a question of numbers. It's easier to change one guy than change all of them. If you want to be coach, you need to accept that like a reality. What do you feel? You feel like a failure, and you start to analyze. If you are smart, okay, what I could do better. To be able to analyze what I could do better, you cannot do it on your own because you are not objective. You need to have people who you know, who you trust, that what they can tell you looking from outside, what could be done better.
Okay, so what's your understanding of what happened in Burgos and you are changing right now to be successful in Trefl Sopot?
I didn't say that I was not successful in Burgos.
Okay, no, you were
More
successful.
Okay,
More successful.
so
Okay, sorry.
in the Burgos, when I was coaching the Burgos never went to the zone of the going down. Okay. It's really simple. It's always come to the conclusion of the value what you have. My value is that we have the team who needs to fight to stay in ACB. Value of the people who are government who are managing the club was that we need to fight for playoff and to win Champions League. Since my vision of the team that we had was not good with them, they tried to bring somebody who can do it. Oh no, but this is always, it's not only me. If you ask any coach, this is the way it is. The people who are leading the team, they think that on the court there is something different. Okay, and it comes, basically, in between difference in opinion, what we have and what we don't have. See, so also people from who are guiding the team, they feel the pressure of society, they feel the pressure of the fans. A lot of times they are making decisions, not that they are smart really, or not calculated, or not think over, but just the things to keep fans happy.
Coach, you know this book, Sueños Robados?
Yes.
Yes. You gave plenty of quotes here in this book. This is a Bible for
I
Yugoslavia.
have one question. Why you don't have no books like this on Polish?
To be totally honest,
Yes.
and then totally honest always with our viewers, that's the problem that I'm meeting here in Poland. There is no culture with respect to basketball.
That's your answer. On a lot of things that you asked.
How can we change it, coach?
I have no idea. So like I said, I'm here part of the Polish basketball. I'm considering myself in the same kind of the challenges that the rest of the country is considering. It cannot be here with three of us. It needs to be done structurally. It's the same thing like leaders of the country. Leaders of the basketball, they need to sit down and see what is better for the basketball. Okay, so I don't have a certainty what it is, but I think so. We are dealing with the other way. We are dealing the way I see it, and I'm not expert. I'm seeing country that is a 45 million people, huge market, beautiful gyms, country that is economically doing every year better and better. So would they like to say more? It's a question of money. No, it's not a question of money. I don't think so it's a question of money. I don't think so it's a question of money. Money here is always issue, but here there is enough money. Just need to be guided different. Okay, but one more thing. I also think that I don't want to say, when you ask me about Poland, you ask me about Croatia. I don't think so that in Croatia are many, I don't know any, because you are focused only on basketball. Your podcast, your program is a focus. This kind of the program of podcast in the Spain, every village is having one. Okay? In the Croatia, I don't know many of them, or I don't know none of them. That they are talking about overall sports. 6 days a week about football, and 1 day about the rest of the sports, many of them. But somebody who is a focus only on basketball, I don't know many of them. So this is giving you the answer about basketball, where, how, and everything.
Yes, a huge path ahead of us, and unfortunately, but, you know, I was mentioning the Bible, of course, of Yugoslavian basketball, because this is a very great book. Unfortunately, it's only in Spanish or in Slovenian. I found it, of course, I learned more Spanish than Slovenian, and so I had an opportunity to read it and purchase it. The author, who is a Catalan journalist, praises you as a person that is always available to not only explore the history of basketball, but also to provide help to journalists, and that's something that I really felt also from my end when registering this interview. So really, thank you very much, Head Coach Tabak, for this interview today. I hope that this is a document that will be seen, we're going to spread all over Europe, because I'm Italian, we are here in Poland, plenty of people will see it, but I really hope that today's chat with you kind of will help people have curiosity in exploring more about the history of basketball, because without our culture, without, the witness that you have as a former Jugoplastika player and also, currently coach, generically speaking, without understanding the history of basketball, what are the bases? We cannot build a good future. That's at least my understanding.
It's not only basketball. This is the life. You need to know where you're coming from to be able to know where you want to go. You cannot. This is a history. You need to know what you're dealing in the past, learn who we are, what kind of mistakes to make to move ahead.
So let's hope that this is going to be the first very small step, but really, thank you very much, Head Coach Tabak, for your availability here. Marek Szucki here for the recording part. Thank you very much for helping us support. This is going to be a video interview, as we will see it, also a podcast, so we have the opportunity to spread it. And once again, Head Coach Tabak, all the best for your career. Fingers crossed for you in Trefl Sopot and whatever you will be doing in the future.
Thank you guys.
Thank you for being here. Thank you.